The question is, can Americans or foreigners buy legally real estate property in Rosarito? Well, the answer is definitely yes. Yes, you can. In this video, my friend, my colleague Liliana Cota, who is a real estate attorney here in Rosarito, will explain what a bank trust is, which is the vehicle through which you will acquire legally the property here in Rosarito, and she will explain all the details about it. But don't worry, those are just details. And what really matters is that if you give us a call, you decide to buy a house, we will quote the house and we will quote you what the costs are for the closing. And we will go along the way with you until you get the keys to your property. Whether it's a house, a condominium, whatever you like to buy, we can help you here in Rosarito Real Estate. Jose Luis Lopez, I hope to see you or hearing from you soon.
Thank you, Jose Luis, for the introduction. My name is Liliana Cota, and I'm a real estate attorney in Baja. And on this video, we're going to speak about bank trust, commonly known also as Fideicomiso in Mexico. One of the questions that we often hear from people that want to acquire property in Mexico is it, can foreigners acquire property in Mexico? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. There are little restrictions in Mexico based on the location of the property where you want to purchase, because there are restrictions if they're close to the ocean or close to the border. In the case of Baja California, all around Tijuana, Tecate, Mexicali, Ensenada, and all Cabo and Baja, and Cabo and La Paz, all of it is restricted zone. That means that if you want to purchase property on those areas that are close to the ocean or to the border, you have to create or you have to retain a service from a professional to create a bank trust or fideicomiso. We're going to try to use the word bank trust in this video, not to have the two words of how it's called. So a bank trust is the form of the deed where a foreigner can acquire the property in Mexico. So who are the parties in a bank trust? A truster, which is the seller, a trustee, that is the buyer, and the fiduciary, that is a Mexican bank. Why are we putting here a Mexican bank? Because a bank trust should be held with a Mexican bank, which will hold the property in the bank trust. So one of the benefits of creating a bank trust is that you directly on the bank trust deed can assign beneficiaries upon the death of the buyers or the owners of the bank trust. Many Americans or many foreigners, when they create a bank trust, if it's a couple, they assign either each upon the death to receive the 50% of the benefits of the trust. But they can also assign additional beneficiaries upon the death of the two of them if they were assigned to each other. But can you change those benefits? Should they always be the same beneficiaries? No, you can change them whenever you want. You can do what you want to do with the bank trust and with the property you receive. With the bank trust, you receive the benefits of the property. You can rent the property, you can sell later the property. There's no limit. The bank will only hold the property and secure the property through the bank trust. So the benefit again is to assign beneficiaries on it. So what are the costs? Let's talk about the general closing costs, not only the cost of the bank trust. Let's talk about the whole closing cost. which include certificates of no liens that will confirm that the property has no liens, there's no mortgage liens, there are no property tax dues, there are no water dues. We also have to require an appraisal when we do a closing that has a bank trust, even with a Mexican title deed, okay? Those are the requirements to transfer the property to the new buyer, either if it's Mexican or it's through a bank trust, because now a foreigner is acquiring the property. The requirements is to have an appraisal to determine the value of the property, a survey for the meets and bounds and the surface, the total surface of the property, and the certificates, okay? One very good point that I have to point out is that when you create a bank trust, an additional document that you need to have is a permit from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs wants to have, like, not control, but they want to have to know how many properties have been acquired in Mexico area from foreigners. So they will give you and the bank a permit for 50 years so you can go ahead and create a bank trust. This seems a little like a lot of things and information for you right now, but there are professionals that could help you. With the guide of Jose Luis and myself, we can help you through all the process. This is for you to learn a little bit of how is it that you can create a bank trust. It's not you that's going to create it yourself, but you can retain a professional's service. Okay, so the cost in total, including the permit and all the other requirements to go ahead and create the bank trust, is around 4 to 7% of the purchase price. The permit itself, that it's included on the 4 to 7% of the closing cost, is around $1,500. And there is one of the things that you need to know is that when you have a bank trust, you have to pay a year administration fee to the bank of around 464 up to 580 annual fee. Okay. Which are the banks that you can work with in Mexico? There are many banks. You can use Bancomer, you can use Banorte, Scotia, Mifel, Monex, Banco El Bajío, many of them. It's up to your professional to guide you to see which is the best option for you. Now, what is the duration of the bank trust? Well, the permit that we said that has to be required at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is for 50 years. But what's going to happen if we're almost close to the 50 years? Those 50 years can be renewed to additional 50 years. Do I have to hold the property for 50 years? No, you don't have to. You can sell the property anytime during the 50 years. So let's say, but during the time that you hold the property, you have to pay your annual fee for the bank, okay, of your choice. But if you want to sell the property, let's say to another foreigner, you had the property for 5 years, and there's 45 existing years on the permit. You can go ahead and transfer those 45 years to the new buyer. And for instance, you want to sell the property to a Mexican, then the bank trust that you have, you can cancel it. We're going to have to cancel, and we can transmit the property to the buyer in the form of an escritura, because they are no longer going to need the bank trust. So in general terms, what the bank trust is a form of a deed for foreigners. Okay, so yes, again, you can get acquired property in Mexico through a bank trust. You might hear a lot of formality and a lot of steps that might be overwhelming for you as to constitute a bank trust. But again, I repeat, you can retain services from professionals. We will be glad to help you. Jose Luis and I will be glad to help you on all the process, from looking and searching for a property up to closing the transaction before notary public. We're here for you. We want to help you, and any other information you might need, search around the clips and the videos to check and see the information and learn about real estate in Mexico. And we're here. We'll leave our contact information, and we will be just waiting for your call. Thank you. So we previously learned about what is a bank trust. Okay, so just to repeat, the bank trust is the vehicle or the form of a deed for a foreigner to acquire property in Mexico. Now, what we will try to now see is what the general process of creating a fideicomiso or bank trust is. Let's say that you already selected or you desire to acquire a certain property and you have opened escrow. In regards of escrow, we have a video, which we will leave a link on this video, so you can go ahead and visit and check and see it about what the escrow is in Mexico. So now you say, we selected the property, you open escrow, and I hardly suggest not to do the bank trust or the closing yourself. Retain a professional always, because there are little details that the professional will oversee for you and will make that the transaction closes successfully. If you try to do it yourself, there might be a little strings that are not attached that could um, limit for you to go ahead and close the property before the notary public. Okay, so let's say that you already selected the bank through your real estate service provider or the professional. Okay, you chose to work with Banco Monex or Banco El Bajío or Scotiabank or Banorte. You already, now the bank will be in charge through your professional, through your attorney, will be in charge of requesting the permit. And there you will assign your beneficiaries that we spoke before. Okay, we will get the permit, we would give it to the notary, so the notary, we will deliver it to the notary, so the notary can go ahead and start the project of the deed that will have the form of a bank trust. The deed or the project of the deed is it's the paper that will specify the number of the deed, the volume, the city of Rosarito, if you purchase property in Rosarito. It will have a brief title search of the property it will contain. It will also describe the property that you're purchasing, the meets and bounds, and the surface. They will transcribe the permit that you got from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It will also describe general information, generals from the buyer and the seller, and generals from the bank that you chose to create your bank trust with. And the purchase and sales price will be included there as well. Also, it will include the cost of the bank for the annual fee that you will be paying, or how much it will cost you if you want to make a session, how much it will cost you if you want to cancel the bank trust. So basically, previously, from all of the creation of the bank trust, you went ahead and made an offer. You went ahead and decided with the seller the purchase price. Everything all the agreements that you had previously will be placed on the bank trust deed. Okay, that is the final document signed before a Mexican public notary. So the notary is drafting the project of the deed, and when they have it ready, they will send it to the bank so they can check in their legal department the containing of the draft. They will review everything, the legal description, the appraised value, the documents, the certificates do say that there are no liens. They will review all of that, the containing, so they can send it back to the notary and say that the project of the deed is ready to be signed. That is when the buyer and the seller will appear before the notary public to sign the final document that will transmit the property to the seller. Saying this, the funds in escrow should be prior, like 5 days prior to closing, because the seller needs to have evidence that you have the funds in an escrow account before they actually sign the public deed before the notary public. Okay, so they will, when the project is ready and they has been approved by the bank, the notary will suggest a time and a date and a day and a time so you can go ahead and sign the final paperwork. You will be signing the public deed. You will be signing instructions to wire those funds, the proceeds, to the seller. So that's what it actually, that's the end of the closing process. What happens next is with the closing cost there. I already said on the video that it's around a 4 or 7%. The 4 and the 7% include the acquisition tax. And also the 4 and 7, as we said on the video, include the closing costs of the bank trust. So when buyer and seller sign the deed, the notary will pay the acquisition tax that you already covered with the closing costs. And after that it's paid, he will go ahead and send a copy of the complete signed deed, proof of the payments of the taxes, so the property could be inscribed at the public registry. So at the end, what you will be receiving as proof that you bought the property is the bank trust recorded by the public registry of the area where you purchased the property. Let's say that you purchase a property in Rosarito, so your deed will come registered from the public registry of Rosarito, or the properties in Tijuana, it will come from the public registry of Tijuana, and so on and so on. So again, this is just the general process of acquiring property through a bank trust. No need, and we do not recommend you do it yourself. No, no, no. Again, retain services from professionals. Jose Luis has, he can know and suggest you to who to use, because this is the way that you could secure your funds, you can secure your transaction, and you can secure your investment. Okay, so, and your patrimony. So we will be completely glad to help you. We're here to serve you, and anything or any other questions you may have, you will see our contact information here in the video. Thank you so much, and we're here for you. Thank you.
My friends, every day we keep hearing from people like you that want to invest, want to retire, or want to buy a property here in Rosarito and never start having that dream become a reality. I invite you to give us a call so I can answer any questions that you might have regarding investing in Rosarito. And whether you will be ready in 9 days or 9 months, it doesn't matter. The day to take action is today. Please give me a call. I will consult with you and start in the process of making your dream a reality. Thank you.